Welcome. Thank you all for being here today. I guess that was already said, but I'm going to say it again because I'm glad that you're here and that we have the opportunity to be together. And thank you for, collectively, letting me talk to you today. I'm excited about this. So, we're week 3 now. 3 of Wonder Women?
Yes.
Which is just an exciting time to celebrate some of the beautiful, incredible women that God created and whose stories we pass down and whose stories we get to hear. And when I heard that we're doing Wonder Women and that Chad asked me to preach, I was pretty psyched because I was like, man, there's some really awesome women in the Bible. We got Deborah, we got Ruth, Priscilla, Naomi, Eve, Sarah, Hagar. There are multiple really awesome Marys. So I was like, yeah, I am here for this. I am psyched. And then Chad was like, I would like you to speak about Anna. And I said, who? And then I was like, I had heard about Anna, but Carl's got 3 verses. 3 verses in the whole Bible. And you want to know something else? Her story is right in the middle of Luke 2. Luke 2, probably the Christmas story that you heard every single year. Oh, Chad's probably disappointed that he's not here today, because this is technically our first Christmas sermon. People read Luke 2 every year for Christmas, and I've noticed, when I was looking back, like, people skip over this section all the time. We skip right over Anna. Her 3 verses matter, so I am here to represent Anna's 3 verses today. So after I got over the what kind of one-verse wonder is this woman, I was also stuck. Because if we can you pull up the verse again of, yeah, thank you, of Anna. Because there was a lot that I couldn't relate to, and so I struggled all week looking at, I did some research and kind of pulled some historical stuff, but man, I just couldn't find a way that I felt like I could connect with this woman who spent every day and night worshiping and fasting in the temple. I have not lived that experience, and I couldn't connect with it. And I don't know of anyone. Maybe I missed something, but I don't know of anyone here who also has. And so I felt a little bit lost. And that changed. We're not there yet. So I'm going to read this passage for us again. There was also a prophet Anna, the daughter of Phanuel, in the tribe of Asher. She was very old. She lived with her husband 7 years after her marriage. And there was a widow, and she was a widow until she was 84. She never left the temple but worshipped night and day, fasting and praying. Coming up to them being Mary and Joseph, who had brought their 8-day-old baby Jesus, to the temple to be blessed for a purification ritual. Coming up to them, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child being Jesus, to all who were looking forward to the redemption of Jerusalem. So these were the things that we knew, that I knew about Anna. I knew that she was very old, right? She was a widow. She spent all of her time in the temple worshiping, giving adoration to, honoring God. And when she gets the opportunity, she recognizes Jesus. She sees him and she knows him. And she tells everyone about the redemption of Israel. And if you were a Jewish person back in, the turn of 0, you might have recognized some of the callbacks that Luke put in there regarding the age, the tribe of Asher. Which is a callback to a woman whose name I am forgetting at the moment. Judith and Holofernes, which was a story that they talked about at the time. It was a mighty woman who also kind of was honoring God and just saved all of Jerusalem in one of their stories that would have been known to them at the time. So we have the sense that that she matters. But so I was kind of in the story, and I just felt this kind of like uneasy, like, I don't know. I guess what she's doing is just adoring God and loving Him so much that she just, out of the joy of her heart, it just feels natural to spend every waking moment in God's presence. And then I was like, you know what? I can't relate to that. Maybe you can. Maybe you're holier than I am, but I couldn't relate to that. And so I tried, and I noticed that like I was what's happening is like actually I'm feeling like a little bit of shame, like I should be able to be with God every moment of my day, and just feel like that is a joy and a gift, and maybe it is, but I just don't connect. So some of you might know I'm a counselor by training. I'm finishing a master's degree in counseling, and counsel, the perspective I bring is one that's really curious about human behavior and why we do the things that we do, and what that means, and why does it matter. And so when I think about Anna, the thing that I see is a woman who is willing to dedicate this time, and just like her behavior indicates that there's something going on that's pretty intense to lead to this, right? So either that's intense love or intense fear. But then she goes and she talks about the redemption of Jerusalem, not the condemnation, not the smiting, but the redemption of Jerusalem, which makes me think there's a sense of security here that she has that honestly I'm not connecting with. In the world of counseling, we talk a lot about attachment. Does this feel like something you've heard of before, attachment? I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So attachment kind of refers to these styles that we develop really little, and they go through all of our lives, and they kind of inform the way that we relate to others. If you think of just like the cutest little baby that you've ever seen. Are you picturing it? Please picture it. I'm going to ask you to picture a couple things. So, the cutest little baby. Little baby Bonner. And picture him right now, what's happening? He's just chilling out. He had a need. He was tired or crying. I'm not sure what he was doing. I missed that part. Hungry. And you know what? His dad scooped him up and started rocking him. And if you look at his face, that little face, that is a face of peace right now. That baby is content. He's like, I had a need, and it got met. And I know that in 5 more minutes, I'm going to have a different need. I'm going to make 1 or 2 sounds, and my parents are going to meet that need that I've got. It's going to be fine. When I cry, someone will hear me, and someone will care about me. And someone will take care of it. I'll be fine. This is good. I got this strong sense of security. You know, and I imagine that there's moments when he's at the right stage of awakeness, just right, and he looks at you, darling, he looks at you in your eyes, and you just make eye contact, and he probably does this little little smile. And you smile back, and his face lights back up, right? And mom's face lights up, and baby's face lights up, and you know, this is going back and forth. Those of you that are parents, can you connect with a memory of this? Yeah, his baby's face is just lighting up, right? And the truth is that we live in a fallen world, right? Even the best of parents, there's a time when you're like, baby, I know that what you want to do is smile at me, and then I smile back, and then you smile back, and then I smile back, and then you smile back, and then I smile back. But you know what? There are dishes that gotta get done. There are bills that gotta get paid. I gotta go to work. You have siblings that also want me to smile at them. Like, there's a moment where you're not going to get this need met. I'm sorry, right? And at the worst, there's also times when there's parents who can't meet the need of their child because something else is going on inside of them. There's fear, there's rage, there's distress, there's distraction, there's being consumed with other things that are not in the interest of that child. And it doesn't always look like that, right? You've probably also seen a baby kind of like it's reaching out and its needs not getting met and it starts getting more and more distressed, right? And babies are resilient. They have developed ways of coping, right? They develop ways of self-soothing. And a baby that has what we call a secure attachment pattern its pattern that it learns over time is that when I have a need, it's going to get met, and I'm okay. The world is an okay place to be in. I can trust and love my mom and dad. Of course, nothing's 100%, so like most of the time I feel like that. That's what baby. That's a secure attachment pattern for a baby. It can handle a little breakaway, especially as the older it gets. You might start to do something, it might just suck its thumb. It might engage in some kind of self-soothing behavior, right? But not always the case. Sometimes there's a baby who has like an anxious attachment pattern because its needs haven't been met. And it'll do a couple of things. Sometimes the baby might just scream and scream and scream and scream and scream because it's like my world is falling apart. I have no idea if there's a ground to stand on, if I could stand. And I'm just not okay. The baby also, it might kind of like this thing where it's like going toward this caregiver, but it's pushing away because it's like, I'm so upset. I don't know if I can trust you or not. And it might do this thing where it's like, you know what? No one's going to respond. I'm just going to sit here and disconnect from the world as much as I can. I'm just going to try and just not be here. Maybe if I just fall into myself, I won't have any pain. My needs aren't going to get met. We develop those patterns as babies, but you know what? They go on throughout our lives. And we live in a broken world, so even with the best, the most generous, the most giving, the most loving parents, we still have moments where we're like, oh no, I don't know if this world is a safe place that I can trust, right? We get older and we start to see things like I think if I get too near this person, I'm going to be punished. They're going to find out something that I did that was bad, and then I'm going to be in trouble, and they won't love me anymore. So I've got to pull away. And we see these patterns play out over and over again. When someone comes into counseling for session, they come into the clinic, they come in for therapy, most of the time you can see one of these patterns playing out in their life. Maybe there's a partner, a spouse that they love them, but every time they get too near them, they start to kind of get a little like anxious, and we could actually see, if you look at people's brain chemistry, if you take like samples of their saliva, which I haven't done a ton of research to, you'll see stress hormones getting really high in these times. This cortisol levels, as we call it. We don't always know if the person that we care about, these people that we need, are going to be there for us. And we learn some ways of managing whether or not they can meet our needs or not. Because we have to. And the thing is, as humans, we have okay imaginations, right? Like we can come up with some pretty crazy scenarios, some pretty crazy stuff, but it's really, really difficult to imagine for something for which you have no working model. So God created us in His own, in the image of God. He created us male and female in His image, and we just guessed what God looked like and what God was like based off of how we could see the world. And so we thought God is a father, right? And God is a father who sometimes is a good father. But sometimes He's terrifying, right? And sometimes He makes me feel like I need to run and hide. Sometimes it feels like, I don't think I can trust this person to meet my needs. I don't feel safe around them, right? I think we all can connect with that in some way because we didn't have perfect parents. We had as good as they could be parents, but they weren't perfect, right? And so at some point for all of us, there's this, can you connect with the sense of like, I could spend all of my time in the temple, but what if God thinks I'm bad? I could not handle that, so I gotta go. So we reenact these patterns over and over. For me, sometimes that means that God feels like someone that I have to perform for. His love is contingent on good grades, good performance, good sermons. And if not, who knows what's going to happen? I need to be able to do this so that I will have this love. And that's an anxious place to be and doesn't feel good. You know, in my most secure moments, in my most moments when I can connect with the experiences that make me feel like I feel secure in the love of Christ. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel like I have to be perfect. Or if I won't, I don't know what's going to happen. Or maybe I feel like I just have to hide at other times. But when I read about Anna, I find myself noticing someone who didn't avoid and someone who somehow or another was convinced of his goodness and aware of it, that she could spend all her time with him and know that he was there for the redemption, not the condemnation, but the redemption of Jerusalem, to see their good, to see their life, to see them thrive. Jesus, God, was the object of Anna's love and adoration. And I long to be able to do that, to connect with that. As I was preparing this sermon today, I started thinking about a recent youth group experience we had. We're talking about prayer, teaching the kids how to pray. And have any of you heard of praying through acts? ACTS? It's praying adoration, confession, T, and supplication. What is T? Thanksgiving. And adoration is when we talk about giving God our adoration and our love, worshiping Him. And so we talked about it, and then we had a little small group breakout when I was with the junior high girls, and we started talking about adoration, can you connect with adoring God? And they were all kind of whatevs. I don't really know. We started talking about that. We started talking about the ways that we understood God to be, and the picture that they had of God and that we had of God was a little bit scary. Not incredibly safe. And you know what? I believe that God is powerful, and it's okay to it's okay to be in awe of His power. But God is also, we also hear God cover us with His pinions. You get this image of this person who just protects and saves and cherishes and is interested in the redemption. And that's not the picture that we collectively had. While we live in a broken world, we live in this world that is broken and fallen, and we get these attachment patterns from broken people who got attachment patterns from broken people, who so on and so forth, and back and back and back. And every picture that we have of God is cracked and broken in a poorly lit image. We also have moments of grace. God also gives moments of goodness. He also gives us pictures of what it looks like to have this true transcendent love in just in moments. So with the youth group girls, I was talking about, can you think of someone that you adore? And they could. So then I asked them to do something. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, you know what? That's fair. You can know what that's fair. So I asked them to just take a second and picture a person that you adore. Picture a time, what that was like. And I asked them to close their eyes. And I asked them to just think about it. And I was going to ask you to close your eyes now too. And then I was going to just think about that person that you adore. Think about a moment with them that made you just feel joy. What happened inside of you? What did that feel like? To just look at this person and just feel joy and love. When I look around right now at this moment, it's kind of funny because it looks exactly like it did when I was with the youth group girls, in that everyone closed their eyes. And I could tell when they started to think about this person with whom they felt joy and love, and they saw these beautiful pictures of goodness, because all of a sudden across the room right now, just these little teeny tiny smiles kind of popped up on everyone's faces. And your faces looked so peaceful. So now I'm going to ask you to picture how that person is looking at you. Just that moment when you felt loved and good and cherished. You knew that in this moment they were present with you and they cared about you and you cared about them. There was adoration going on. Anthony DeMello, a Jesuit priest, wrote, Behold the face of the one beholding you and smiling. Just for a second, is it okay to just stay in that? Knowing that this feeling, the feeling of being loved and adored, that is a way that we can use to also understand God's love for us. The love of this good parent who cares for his children, who seeks their redemption. You can open your eyes if you want. But just to notice what it felt like to be flooded by love. The face of the one beholding us and smiling. That love is the basis. That love is the basis for everything that we do and everything that God has asked us to do. And you know what? It's really hard to connect to sometimes. For me. And if it's not for you, awesome. That's great. Tell me how. But sometimes it's hard for me to connect with that. But that writing by Anthony DeMello strikes me all the time. Because it's really, 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 really something to picture the face of God beholding me and smiling. Something that really shakes me, something that really makes me feel truly moved. And when I think about that, I can start to understand why Anna the prophetess was ready to sit in the presence of God. It wasn't a place that was scary or frightening or shaking her being. This was a place that was good. A place that she was safe and loved. A place that she could commune with the one that she loved. And that the one she loved would commune with her. I didn't hear shame in her story. I didn't hear fear. And because of that love, she recognized God. She recognized him in the form of a baby. She wasn't just going to keep it to herself. She wanted to tell everyone. She starts telling everyone about the redemption of Jerusalem. The redemption, the freeing, the saving, the bringing them into good, pure, right, loving relationship. Now that really messes with me a little bit. It really flips it. It feels very different for me to think about communing with God when I'm assured of his love and the way that he beholds me and smiles. So right now, I'm going to ask the worship team to come up. We're going to sing Even So Come, a song about waiting for God, knowing that he will come and he will arrive. And that when he does, he will hear us, and he will love us, and that he is here with us right now, even in the waiting. When we do that, I want you to feel free to speak to God, to the one who loves you, to the one who is holding you and smiling. And come up here if you feel led to pray. Pray in your seat. God doesn't care where you are. You can pray wherever your body is.